Hi, good morning, everyone. This morning I just want to kind of walk around the car to kind of point, some of the design cues and the challenges behind the development with design and engineering to do this great car. So I hope that first time you see it, you can see that it's a Mazda, but yet the expression has been very different than like a new CX-9 or a new CX-5, right? Basically, Mazda design is trying to broaden its expression and tonality between two feeling, the N and the RIN. Usually the first thing that comes into your eyes is the way we treat surfaces. So in the CX-9 and CX-5, the car is very much like a blade. You have like some really kind of angular, sharp front end. We try to light up the front end and bring all of that power into the rear wheel, which we call traction form. Within the softtop, the RF, and also the RX Vision that you've seen as a concept car, we are working as a new kind of design philosophy of the surface treatment, which is called the surface-based, reflection-based surfacing. And what it does is we really do study how is the environment going to reflect on the vehicle. In the past, the designers have always, when they stretch a line, that line is usually a hard edge. And so what we're doing is actually moving away from this and have something a lot more kind of organic. And when you have something organic, the only thing you can really judge the car is how is that building or that horizon line is going to reflect on the bodywork. So on the RF, obviously, what we had for us is an amazing package to start with. The idea is always to seduce the eyes, this kind of, showcasing this irrational seduction. In terms of proportion, everyone has in his mind like a reference to a classic car, from the Italian in the 60s, right? And, we wanted to hit that tone. When you see it, you have to fall in love with it. And quite frankly, it's about you containing the volumes. So when you look at the vehicle, a lot of those lines and those volumes kind of circle around the vehicle. I mean, you have it on the hood, but then all the way on the side and all around graphically, you have so much plenitude that at first glance, the whole car is contained as a circle above the car, and which seduces the eyes very well. Instead of having the typical, kind of square type of ratio, you have something that's a lot more round. So design never, when we started to work on this car, we never approached the retractable fastback as a bubble top like it was in the previous model. We've only entertained a stretched fastback to create more kind of dynamism to it, which created a lot of friction with engineering to start with, because obviously the first question well, you can't fold that much mass if you go with like those buttress scenario. So we sat down with engineers, for many months to see how can we break up that volumes, and at the same time not compromise the space in the trunk. And today the space in the trunk is actually the same as the soft tops. From a basically volume standpoint, what you can see is like we wanted to stretch and create an offset, even though the soft top is really 50-50, which is on numbers 50-50. Here we're very close, but visually we wanted to create an offset and really push the whole cabin backwards to still give a lot of kind of this rear kind of dynamic traction form into the rear wheel. The entire kind of this quarter panel, we've tried to contain these volumes. So when you look at the car from three-quarter rear, we have really nice tangencies, which really kind of, again, empower the wheel arcs instead of having this kind of having very much vertical. From a graphic standpoint, on the window graphics contouring, we actually push the graphics rear, in order to accentuate this dynamism to it. Something we're very, very proud is actually, this line right here. Most of our competitors are doing a retractable fastback. That line is actually a lot lower for mechanical reasons. So we work really hard to actually put it right on the crisp, which is those two surfacing creating a small dish. So when you walk through the car, actually this line disappears. So it doesn't look like, that volume is kind of fragmented. It does look like very fluid. So that is a huge achievement within engineering, pushing the boundaries of mechanics and manufacturing. So the roof folds, in few parts. I'll try to do it from here. cool, right? There's definitely like a wow factor. I mean, when you see like all those, three parts coming up, together and, folding like a perfect bento box, in the back.
Motors wishes you had worked there about 15 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty amazing mechanism. It doesn't weigh very much. Still adds up to the soft top, but it's quite minimal. I think the whole weight is about the weight of an infant, sitting next to you. So it's pretty minimum. Obviously, even though we have the buttress, we're trying to push them as far back as possible. We still have to kind of go back in order to fit, all of the mass down below. On terms of the interior, not much has changed, even though we do have the Napa leather. So we're trying to improve, again, the craftsmanship. On the interior, we have a bigger, I think, LCD screen on the left gauges. Obviously, we have, the switch and so on to open the retractable. But yeah, overall, obviously, it is still based on an MX-5 soft top. But having, added this kind of component to it and stretch it, blend it nicely towards the rear, give you an impression it's completely different. And I think we hit the mark of this kind of sensitive, classical automotive, but yet in a modern way. And I think it's easy to fall in love with this car. And it's completely different than a CX-9 or a CX-5, the way it is treated. And this is kind of where the brand is going, is we want to broaden that expression. One's going to be much more on the purity, and this is kind of the Japanese take on purity, intensity through purity. You don't have many lines. You don't have many character lines to make the car feel animalistic and powerful. It's all about just sexiness and beauty. And on the other side, the alluring side of Japan is CX-9 and CX-5, which is much more, in a way, aggressive in its direction. It's very much, kind of a linear kind of penetration in the through the air.
So I'm confused. Yesterday, when we were talking about the CX-5, that was the direction that Mazda was going. Today, you said this is the direction Mazda's going. Which way are you going?
Well, we have two directions. They both have purity into it, but the expression and the surface work is very much different. One is a lot crisper. If you look at the line, look at the new body side on the CX-5, it's almost kind of flat, and you have this edge. It's really, really crisp. The front face is kind of a blade, that defragmented look, to really show the depth of the grille, the way the whole hood is folded. You have an extreme kind of sharpness to it. You can see it's a lot more kind of round and softer. We only rely on reflection-based surfacing, which is how is that building going to reflect in the car to describe dynamism.
So is this just for the MX-5, or is it going to carry through to your passenger cars, or what? Are you going to diverge?
Sure. Right now, I can't talk about future product, but basically we studied this within the RF, but we kind of stretch it within the RX Vision as a concept cars. And you can see the RX Vision only rely on surface-based, reflection-based surfacing to judge the design of the vehicle. So we're going to broaden that expression, through the next lineup. Yeah. You really to tune your eyes to understand the differences between those two kind of expression. But think of this one being a lot more kind of organic and only being based on what it's reflecting into it to judge the design. And the other one, you still have some much more crisper line and much more kind of aggressive, kind of surfaces in order to show a much more of a directional attitude.
Does this architecture relate in any way to the architecture of the CX-5? The mechanical of it.
They're all different. They're completely different vehicles. Yeah, completely different. Yeah. But yeah, I welcome you guys to kind of walk around. What's interesting is not just to pay attention only on graphics. Usually this is how you judge a vehicle. First, you look at the contouring of the vehicle, and then you're looking at, the outer line of the grille and the outer line of the front lamp to give you to tell you the expression of the vehicle. If you have a subconscious that really pays attention into the reflection and how those reflection kind of navigates, rather they're very flexible or they have a lot more kind of rhythm to it. So if you really pay attention to the way the surface work and the reflection works around the vehicle, those reflection is really what triggers that falling in love attributes. So again, if you look around, just trying to pay attention to those reflections.
Could we have an encore performance of you putting the top up?
Again?
Top down.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.